Here and the crew at Dinosaur Adventure Land in Lenox, Alabama. Beautiful today. Got to give tours through the mud. Oh, man, that was awesome. I love giving tours on the Jeep. Okay, tonight will be comments on comments. I got two quick things to discuss, and then we'll take all your comments. You can send them in. We're on a whole bunch of channels, Facebook, Rumble, Odyssey. I don't understand it all. Okay, we're Genesis Baptist Church. Mike, a little closer. Okay, yeah. Genesis Baptist Church in Lenox, Alabama. Right-wing, independent, temperamental, fundamental Baptist Church. We believe the Bible is true. Okay, tonight, March 14th. You can help us stay open for free. Join our 777 Club. We don't charge anything. People come here from all over the world. We feed them and house them and everything else. Don't charge anything. You can help us out if you do. Join our 777 Club. Call Sandra. Let's see, we've been open. I got it, 7.9 years now, almost 8. April 16th will be the anniversary of getting this property with nothing here but mud. Praise God. There we are, Genesis Baptist Church channel. Okay. We've got 3 opportunities before us if you want to help. Number one, we could own our own TV channel for about $6,000, and then next year, another $6,000. But they think by then it'll be making profit of its own, right? About $6,000 a year to have that. So to get started, we need the first $6,000. If you want to help, call Joseph, 855 BIG-DINO, extension 4. See, I want to help. Okay. Secondly, we got a friend able to get the Kubota tractor. Big Will is in the hospital again. I took him last night all the way to Mobile Hospital, Providence Hospital. Possible minor heart attack. The guy, we're his only family he's got, okay? He had one daughter, and she was murdered. So he became a federal agent. He's going to find the guy, and they put him in jail for 10 life sentences or something, just so he wouldn't get out. So Will would find him. Well, I led Will to the Lord, got him baptized. Great man, loves the Lord, 7 foot tall. He lives in one of our little cabins here, loves his place, spends all day driving the tractor, fixing our roads. But we need a bigger tractor. We got a chance to get a good one at a good price. If you want to help with that, pray about it, okay? Thirdly, we want to build a scale model of Noah's Ark. It's going to cost, I'm going to guess $15,000. I'll show you more details later. Okay. If you want to invest in the kingdom work, call 855 BIG-DINO, extension 3. You can talk to me about that. Okay, I saw the kids on the bridge today using our new bridge, Titus. That is awesome. You did a fabulous job. And the signs, Bobby, for the going down, they got the Royal Flush sign up by the big tube there. Turn the pump on, pump the kid, shoot the kid out the bottom. We love it, okay? Yep. Come on, try. It's a blast down here. Did you kids try the slide down the hill, the Royal Flush slide today? Did your kid? You're from South Korea. You're visiting today. Did the kids try the slides, the zip lines? Did you do the zip lines off the tower? Oh, you enjoyed the tour though. We got a little mud on them. Okay. And we have satellite dishes that are pretty cool. I was standing at satellite dish number 1, the one that looks like the Earth on the left. And every day when I give the tour, we do this. And we talk down to dish number 3 or 2, way down at the end of the hill there, 515 feet away. I said, wait. And you can whisper to each other and hear each other. Nothing but old satellite dish from somebody's backyard. 515 feet, that's how long Noah's Ark was. When we dug out the lakes to get the lake deep fishing holes, that had a long-reach excavator in here, left some big piles behind. I was looking at those piles. I said, wait a minute, look at that. The one on the right is bigger than the one on the left. That looks just like the mountains of Ararat. Greater Ararat and lesser Ararat. That's where Noah's Ark landed. I said, let's build Noah's Ark in between them. That leaves us with a choice. Build just what's there now. We'll show more on that later, which is just a ring of, or build like it when it first landed, before it fell apart and, decayed. Okay, anyway, we have a guest tonight. Caleb called today. I said, why don't you call in tonight and share your testimony? Then we'll get into a couple more things, and then we'll take your questions. Okay, Caleb, tell everybody who you are, and how you heard about us.
Well, nice to meet you, and nice to see you, Kent. My name's Caleb. I called in today just because I was asking about baptism, because, well, frankly, you're the pastor I trust these days. I got saved maybe 4 years ago, and it was during COVID. If you'd like me to share my testimony, I'd gladly do so. All right, so it's never fun admitting to all your stuff, right? But I was unsaved for quite a while. Right before I got saved, I was unsaved the whole time. And during that time,
hang on. What you said on the phone today, you majored in physics, and you saw the scientific evidence I presented and said, "Wow, this matches reality," and that's what brought you to the Lord. Yeah, brought you to the Lord.
So that's where I was getting to. Is during the time of being unsaved, I had a physics degree. I got a physics degree. Now I joke around and say that I went to wizard school, because those dudes are half sorcerers. Like, the things that they want you to believe are practically magic. They say stuff like you can drop out of time and come back into time and be immortal and all kinds of crazy stuff that their goals are with science. But anyways, I got a physics degree and I drank the Kool-Aid. And so I thought I came from a rock. I thought I descended from goo. I thought after you die, that was it. Like, that was it. You just go away. And it's been 4 years. It sounds like a short amount of time, but it is really hard to get back in touch with like the way I felt back then. It's really interesting. But when I got saved, the thing that really came through to me was that look what I'm trusting. Look at all this COVID stuff. Look what I'm trusting. I'm trusting these institutions of man. And the Lord used COVID to show me that they're liars and they're not telling the truth and they don't have your best interests at heart. Government, science, academia, whatever you want to call it, those institutions of man at best are ignorant. But more likely, they're probably willfully lying to you to try to lead you right to hell. And so what started getting through to me is just that it makes sense that Jesus loves me. It makes sense that God would send his son, and it makes sense that he would show us what it is that he's looking for. He wouldn't just give us nothing. It made sense. And then I told my mom that I've always been kind of about Jesus. And that lately I've been like, it makes sense. And she's like, darling, I think you got saved. And that was really wonderful to understand that that's what was going on. So I got saved and it was going well, but I hit a wall doctrinally because like after, repenting and crying and all of that and just embracing Jesus and letting him into your heart, you gotta keep the process going. And for me, that was Genesis. That was the book of Genesis right there. I believed all of it. And so I was faced with a choice. I could either accept Jesus and his word as my new religion, or I could try to do what it seems like lots of people do, which is fold Jesus into my current religion. And that's when you came in, because I'm like, you know what? No way. The earth, how old is the earth? And so I go to the internet and I find you. And in particular, some of all your seminars, like you only need to watch 5 minutes and you're usually going to be telling a different tune afterwards. But what really got through to me was just the reality of the flood, just the reality of those bones that you're finding and the giant bones, and that the stratification of the sedimentary layers is very much easily explained. And I had just never used my mind on these subjects. I had never applied my intellect to these subjects. I always just took them and swallowed them down and then used my intellect to figure out why those were true. Like these are beyond in my little special true box, and I have to use my intellect to figure everything else out. But what really helped was just knowing that there was scientific evidence, and I'm not a fool for believing the Bible. And matter of fact, I was a fool when I was a science, right? Science falsely called so. I was a fool. And it was really wonderful to have that succinct of presentation of your information. It just blew me away. And then I got to skip however long it was going to take me of being like a wishy-washy Christian. Oh, I think evolution, and oh, maybe the day age theory, or oh, this and that, all those various medium heresies, right? And I just want to say thank you so much for putting those together, because it got right through and it saved me years of a lost Christian walk. And I want to tell you, and anyone who's listening, having your doctrine correct is so powerful. Like if you think something the Bible says, it says don't do this, but then someone tells you, hey, maybe you can do this. Now you've got doubt. And so if you don't have a solid doctrine, it's really hard to do what God says. It's really hard to follow Jesus and do what he says if you're doubting him in chapter 1. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much. It wasn't one piece of evidence in particular. I would say the one that stuck with me more than anything else, though, was the upright trees through the geologic column. There's no way to explain that except for the flood. Amen. Now, even without this evidence, though, I was instructed by very wise counsel. The Bible is true. You need to believe the Bible. Whatever you think, believe the Bible first. And so I clung to that and studied, and then I found you. And it was really wonderful to have those apologetics, that scientific evidence. You shouldn't need it, but it was wonderful. So thank you so much.
Come on down, get baptized, and we'll put you to work around here. We got projects to do.
You said you have a 7-footer down there? I'm 6'8". I didn't think you were going to have one who could be taller than me.
Yeah, he's just under 7 foot. Well, he's getting shorter as he gets older, but yeah, they called him too tall, Big Will. Yeah.
We told you.
All right.
Yeah, well,
We'll
thank you
see
so
when he
much for
comes.
giving me the chance to say thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Caleb. All right. Thank you, brother. All right. So I'd like to build Noah's Ark. I want to get into that just a little bit. In Genesis chapter 6, it says the earth was corrupt and filled with violence, and God said, I'm going to wipe them out, okay? Let's see. And God said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me. The earth is filled with violence. Behold, I will destroy them. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. So Noah told his boys, gopher wood, we got to build a boat. So they went and got all this wood, and they built this huge boat. Well, Noah lived right here on the chart, on the timeline I made here, and his son named Shem before the flood. After the flood, Shem had a son named Arphaxad. And I'm sure Arphaxad and all the kids from then on were asking, hey, Grandpa, how come we're the only people in the whole world? We got this whole place to ourselves. Yep, what happened? Well, it was a flood. And Shem lived long enough to tell that story to, let's see, a whole bunch of people, including Abraham and Isaac. They could have personally known Shem and Jacob. So I think because of this, people who lived through the flood, they would tell stories about the flood. I mean, of course, you can tell your kids what happened. And now there are now 270 recognized flood stories that have been found around the world. In Hawaii, the legend was, long after the death of Kunihana, the first man, which would be Adam, the world became a wicked, terrible place. There was one good man left. His name was Nu'u. He made a great canoe with a house on it and filled it with animals. The waters came up over all the earth and killed all the people. Only Nu'u and his family were saved. Why would the Hawaiians have a legend like that? Maybe because it's based on the Bible story. Ancient Chinese legend. It says a guy named Fuhai was the father of the Chinese civilization. History said Fuhai, his wife, 3 sons, and 3 daughters escaped a great flood. He and his family were the only people alive on earth, and they repopulated the world. Well, that sounds kind of like the Bible story. Let's see. The Toltec Indians in Mexico. They have a legend. When the Toltec Indians were first discovered, the settlers coming in there said, wow, what do you guys believe? When they learned the language, what do you believe? The Toltec Indians said the first world lasted 1,716 years and was destroyed by a flood that covered the highest mountains. Only one family named Coxcox survived. 1716. Well, the Bible dates add up to 1656, but it's pretty good for a legend, 4,000 years old. So there's all kinds of flood legends. There's a bunch of them listed on creationism.org. Check, Joseph, is that website still up? Creationism.org. It used to be a great one. So I believe during the flood, it'd be the rock tumbler effect, the water going up and down, sucking water in and out. We're living on a gravel pit right here. All of our rock is rounded. It is still up? Okay. They call it river rock. Oh, no, this is from the flood. And all these layers that we see all over the world were made in that flood one year with the tide going up, down, up, down. It's going to pump the water in and out, in and out. So you get the sideways movement of the water, which makes all the layers. And then at the end of the flood, the mountains arose, the valleys sank down, and the water all rushed into the holes, which are today called the oceans. And then it says, the Bible says the ark landed in the mountains, plural, of Ararat. There's Mount Ararat right there on the Turkish border. You've even got signs, Noah's big boat, right here. You want to go see Noah's boat? Go this way, 5 kilometers. They know it's there. The Bible says the ark rested in the mountains of Ararat, not on Mount Ararat. I think it's nearly impossible, certainly unlikely for a boat to land on a mountain. If the water's going down or the mountains are coming up, it's going to drift off to one side. Float a sponge in your bathtub, bring your knee up under it, try to get it to land on your knee. Highly unlikely. It's going to drift off to the side. So there's 4 theories about what happened to Noah's Ark. 1, they took it apart and reused the lumber for buildings. Okay. 2, it rotted. It's gone. 3, still up on the mountain. I don't think so. But 4, it's in the valley between the mountains. So the mountains of Ararat, there's greater Mount Ararat, the big one. Some people think it's on the ark, and I don't think so, okay? I think some people think that snowdrift is Noah's Ark. I don't think so. I believe Ron Wyatt was right and found it. Talked to Richard Reeves today. He was Ron Wyatt's part. Ron died. Ron was a good friend of mine, and they said, look at that. That's Noah's Ark. So they went over there and explored it. Say, wow, that's what's left of it between the mountains. Bottom line is, we want to build a model of Noah's Ark here at Dinosaur Adventure Land. So if you want to help us do that, we can either build with this right here. Everybody's going to say, what's that? But I'd like to build before it rotted and fell apart. Noah's Ark, right there, is about 17 miles away, right there at Wyatt Museum. If you want to get a hold of them, there's Richard Reeves. You can contact him or his son, David Reeves. The Noah's Ark has probably collapsed and splayed out to the side. Old ships do that when they get old. They fall out. They end up wider in the middle as they age. So do I, a little bit. Okay, so here. So that's what's left sticking up above the ground. But I think we ought to build the real one. So, normal size, not normal size, but before it rotted. They found iron rivets in that area. It was riveted together. Okay, Noah was 600 years old. He probably knew all kinds of stuff, okay? Adam's grandkids were artificers in brass and iron. They knew about ironworks, okay? It's three layers of wood glued together with some kind of stuff, like a giant plywood, 4-inch thick plywood. There's a piece of it right there. Ron has some in the museum, the Wyatt Archaeological Museum. Let's see, information about Noah's Ark. Do we sell that book, this one on the screen? The boat-shaped object on Doomsday Mountain. Write that down and see if you can locate that. We used to sell that in Pensacola. A great book with all the pictures and stuff about this finding of Noah's Ark. Okay, at the bottom of the Ark, apparently it had because they found a big circle of rocks like this. And I think Ron White was right. That was a ballast at the bottom of the boat. You get a bunch of heavy rocks at the bottom to hold the boat upright. It can't tip over as easy if it's got heavy ballast at the bottom. It's a common thing for ships to do. Apparently it landed near Mount Ararat, and lava flows have slid it down the hill a ways, and it broke that bottom piece off, because that's no longer under the Ark. But the Turkish government has done a lot of research. They say, yep, that's Noah's Ark. There's Greater Ararat and Lesser Ararat in the middle of the map. Ark landed over here someplace by the village of Kazan and is drifting down. It drifted. Anyway, I want to build a model of Noah's Ark between the two mountains. There's the village of Kazan, Turkey. The government said, yep, that's it. They built a visitor center. They think that's Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark, I believe, they're right, was 300 cubits long. Standard Hebrew cubit was 20.6 inches, so that's 515 feet. They give the dimensions. My cubit is 20.67, okay, just a hair longer than that. So 20.65. So Noah's Ark would be 515 feet long. By the way, our satellite dishes are 515 feet apart. Every time I do the dish, I say, wow, reminds me, I want to build Noah's Ark. It's about 2/3 the size of the Titanic. It's a pretty big boat. And around that area, they find these large rocks, drogue stones, 9,000-pound rocks with holes in the top. They're called anchor stones. I think Ron was right. He said, look, they put a big rope through there, and they had these big rocks hanging all over the side of the boat to keep the boat stable in stormy weather. Huh. They found the anchor stones, cut the ropes off, maybe had to reuse the ropes or something, up here by Kazan. Ark drifted down for 4,000 years. So that's the rope holes, drogue stones. If it really gets windy, they'll drag behind you in the water and cause you to always be perpendicular to the waves. Huh, pretty good. One atheist wrote me, he said, Hovind, I heard your seminar about Noah's Ark having rocks hanging over the side. You are so stupid. Don't you know if he had big rocks hanging all over the boat, it would slow him down? I said, I'm stupid? Let me ask you a question. Where was he going? There's nowhere to go. He wanted to be slowed down. Duh. And I'm stupid, okay? Anyway, we can go on more on Noah's Ark some other time. But I'd like to build a little model of that. I'd like to build it with moon pool, okay? Some people said, you get a boat 300 feet long or 500 feet long, going over the waves, it'll bend. Well, it's true. Creates a problem. The beam of the ship has to be really strong for those big, long guys. But not if you have what's called a moon pool. And I believe Noah's Ark had several of those. A hole in the bottom of the boat with walls built up inside. When you go over the wave comes up inside the boat. But it's, a cylinder inside or something. And that way, it doesn't sink your boat. But the water going up and down inside that cylinder acts like a giant piston and pumps fresh air in and out every time you hit a wave. I bet every time they fed the animals, they prayed for a wave. Okay, Lord, we're about to feed the cows. Send a wave, please, okay? And we can talk more about Noah's Ark some other time when my brother straightens up. But I had one more comment somebody gave me. Let's see, comments on comments. Right here. Brother Hovind, I saw the show you did the other night on Baptist bias. I was shocked and dismayed how Pastor Anderson started right off attacking you over your timeline of the children of Israel being in Egypt. He went ballistic over the question of how long they were in Egypt, whether it was 430 years, 215, or 400 years. He said your charts and graphs were garbage or something like that. What was all this about? Well, I preached at Brother Anderson's church. I was completely blindsided the other night. I thought he was a friend of mine. I didn't know I was on his bad side, but I don't have anything against him. Let's see. So here's how long were they in Egypt? He's complaining about my charts. Well, I'll show you what I believe. Is there a contradiction in the Bible? This is seminar part 7 of my series. You can get it $50, the whole thing, 18 hours for all the stuff on creation seminar. How long were they in Israel? In Egypt? 215, 400, or 430? A fair question. Answers in Genesis did a great article on this. I don't know who David Wright is, but he did an awesome job. Thank you, David. How long were the Israelites in Egypt? Were the Israelites in Egypt 215 years? If so, what about the passages that say 400 or 430? Now, there's a lot of ingredients that go into making a cake. There's quite a few things you have to consider before you come to a conclusion on this supposed contradiction. I've made a chart showing that the ages are given right in Genesis chapter 5, and you can make a chart like this very easily and show how the dates in the Bible add up to 6,000. And the guys here tonight were making a big deal about 6,300. What's this talking about here? And they said, well, part of it's because of this, I'm wrong about how long they were in Egypt. Well, okay. After the flood, the dates are given in Genesis chapter 11. For more dates, clear down to Joseph. God said to Abraham, know that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that's not theirs. It's going to go to Egypt. They shall afflict them 400 years. Now watch this number, 400. Later we see 430. And then 215. Which one's right? Atheists love to pick on this. Oh, there's a contradiction. Let's see. So bring them into bondage and entreat them evil 400 years. Some people say, well, they just rounded it off. Oh, no. 400 is exactly correct. And 430 is exactly correct. Then it says, in the 4th generation, they shall come hither. So atheists love to make a big deal about this. What's the 4th generation? Come on now, okay? Let's see. Here we say, Galatians tells us there was 430 years. About the covenant confirmed before God in Christ. 430 years. Let's see. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. Is there a contradiction? Let's see. Exodus 12:41. At the end of the 430 years, even the self-same day, to the day, all the hosts of the Lord went up out of the land of Egypt. Okay? The verse does not say they were afflicted 430 years. It says they were in Egypt 430 years. Okay? That's part of the answer to the supposed contradiction here. Ishmael, the son of Hagar the Egyptian. Remember, Abraham was promised children like the stars and all that stuff. And it's when his wife turned 90, or he turned 90 and she turned 80, whatever it was, she said, honey, I can't have kids anymore. Would you please marry my servant girl, the Egyptian servant girl, Hagar, have children by her? So he did, and had an Egyptian, half Egyptian son. That son later was mocking the son when Sarah finally had a child. So 430 years. Hagar, the son of Hagar the Egyptian, mocked and persecuted Isaac. He was 25, but then when Isaac was born, but then Isaac was 5 years old when he was weaned. Some of those cultures, they nurse the kid till they're 5 years old. That's got to be embarrassing when you're in Walmart. Hey, Mama, I'm hungry. Shut up, kid. Okay. The promise was 430 years before the law. 430 years after the promise Israel came out of Egypt. So the Answers in Genesis website did a great timeline about this, okay? See, Abraham begat Isaac. Isaac begat Jacob. Jacob begat a whole bunch of kids. One of them was Levi. Levi had Kohath, and he had a Jochebed. Well, Jochebed ended up marrying, ended up being his, Jochebed and Aram married, Aaron, and they had a child named Moses. Moses is the 4th generation from Levi. The 4th generation shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. It says in Genesis 15, Abraham, know of a surety thy seed shall be in the land of Israel, in the stranger in the land, and they shall serve them and afflict them 400 years. So could it be they were in Egypt 430 years, but they were only afflicted for 400? Because for the first 30, they weren't afflicted. Because Joseph was still the vice pharaoh, or whatever they call him, okay? Good article. Once we realize this, we look at the passage and realize this statement made by Moses adds clarity. We can think of the children of people of Israel. We typically think of Jacob and his 12 sons and their descendants. Remember, though, the promise was not made to Jacob, but to Abraham. What Moses is subtly pointing out that the nation of Israel did not start with Jacob, but with Abraham. It reveals that the nation of Israel began with him. Therefore, the passage is including Isaac and Abraham in the nation of Israel. 430 years prior to the Exodus is when Abraham first lived in Egypt. He went to Egypt for a while, then came out. There is no contradiction or difficulty. Simply put, the nation named after Jacob/Israel was started with Abraham. Dr. Fred Nolan Jones did a great chronology of all this. He said the 400 years of sojourning and affliction started with Isaac's weaning at 5 years old when Ishmael mocked him. This points out Isaac's weaning and Ishmael's mocking 30 years after the promise was made. It's also James Ussher, who did the famous chronology of the Bible, Annals of the World. It's up here someplace. He came to the same conclusion. Here's what they did. Abraham was 75 when God made the promise. That's 430 years before the Exodus, to the day, I would bet, okay? Then God tells Abraham his descendants will sojourn in the land and be servants, and they'll be afflicted for 400 years. But you can look through the chart. It's all spelled out. It works out just perfectly. And so I don't understand, brother, what he's upset about with my charts. I think that my charts are right on target, okay? Abraham to Moses, okay? Let's see. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Bible says in 1 Timothy, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith. I don't spend a lot of time arguing about all the genealogies, okay? It's futile, okay? It's a waste of time. Verse 16, 6. Which some, having swerved, have turned aside unto vain jangling, desiring to be teachers of the law. And I think what we heard the other night was some vain jangling over genealogies. So I don't worry about that. Okay, questions, comments, brother? You got some there? If I go to the seminar part. Okay, what do you have? Okay. My younger sibling teacher forcing her to do yoga. What do I do? I don't know of anything specifically evil about yoga if it's just simply stretching, and relaxing. That's all good for you. If they're trying to call on some kind of spirit, I would draw the line there. I don't know if I have anything in my question answer on yoga. No. Let's see. Alt-DV. Somebody asked me that once, and I might have put together some slides on it. I don't see. Anybody see the word yoga on there? No. Yeah. Don't know. Okay? Sure appreciate you. I have for 25 years. Well, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. All I ask is spread it around. Okay? If Noah was 12 foot, what would his cubit be? Well, good question. But if Moses wrote the book of Genesis or edited it from doctrine, it might have been Noah probably wrote the first few chapters. Adam probably wrote part of Genesis. Noah would have written part of it. We cover that on video number 7, Who Wrote Genesis. Oh, here it is right here. Who wrote Genesis? Anyway, then when Moses edited it into the readable form that we have, he probably translated the unit that they used. Like if I'd like to translate meters into feet so people understand how many feet is that. I'm old school. I'm going to stick with feet and miles till I die. I understand the metric system really well. I taught physics, okay? But I'm going to stick. So it could be that this was Moses who actually edited Genesis together, decided to translate whatever unit they had into cubits, his cubit. Now, Moses would not have been 12 feet tall. Okay? That's a simple answer. I'm trying to think, but nothing is happening. You see an atheist? I don't know. They do the same thing. Is the world shaped just how generals put it, flat with waters above? No. It had waters above, but it had nothing to do with flat. You can have water above in a circle, in a sphere. Yeah, not a problem. So the earth is a sphere. It spins. It goes around the sun. Not a contradiction. Yoga has a mystical channeling behind it. Now that, I don't know. Dr. Hovind, I love your debates. I disagree with you, but commend you for your honest research. Well, if you disagree with me, just keep studying. What are your thoughts about who built the Great Pyramid? Well, that's on video 7, I think. Yeah. Is that on this one? Here, yep, right there. Call up my slides again there, brother. Camera, okay. Pyramid. What about the Great Pyramid? Well, There's 4 theories. One, it was built by godly people before the flood. All the flood would do is get it wet. Okay. Number 2 is built by heathen before the flood. Number 3, built by godly people after the flood. Or number 4, built by heathen after the flood. I think probably was not built during the flood. So I bet it's one of those 4, okay? Now, the Great Pyramid is very different than all the other pyramids, okay? The Bible said there'd be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt and a pillar at the border, and it shall be a sign. I've studied it quite a bit, have quite a few books on it here. I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit trail, but I believe the Great Pyramid probably was the gospel story in stone, because, Adam didn't have a Bible, so God gave him the gospel in the stars. Adam, look at that. Start with Virgo the virgin, end with Leo the lion. And all through here you got Draco the dragon, the snake trying to destroy things. I bet it started off as the gospel story and then got perverted to the horoscope. If you go in the door to the pyramid there at the bottom right, you have to make a choice. You're going to take the broad way down to the pit or the narrow way up to the king's chamber. Choice, broad way, narrow way. I read about that somewhere. If you go up the narrow way, you end up on the 50th row of stones. 50, year of Jubilee. It's the largest building in the world by far. There's enough stone in the Great Pyramid to build a 10-foot high brick wall all the way around Texas. Some of the stones weigh 70 tons. The top is 455 feet high. 50th row of stones, and then you go in there, you find an empty tomb. This is just the facts of what's there now, okay? Empty tomb. Originally was covered with 144,000 smooth, polished casing stones. They fit so tightly together, sometimes they couldn't even find the seams. And the top stone was never installed. 144,000, Revelation 7. The whole body fitly joined together. It just seems to fit a lot of scriptures, and I don't know. I'm not going to go and start a new cult on the pyramid, but it looks like it's probably built by godly people before the flood came. The stone the builders rejected has become the head of the corner. I think that's the chief cornerstone, Jesus Christ, which is why they left it off, to show, hey, Jesus Christ has not been installed in his kingdom yet. The stone that the cut out without hands smote the image on the feet, saw the New Jerusalem coming down. Anyway, you can read all this stuff in Seminar Part 7. Noah Hutchings did a great book on this, The Great Pyramid. Do you happen to know where that is? Bobby, anybody know Noah Hutchings' book? We used to sell that one too. Yeah, it's a great one. If you notice, the back of our dollar bill has the pyramid with 13 rows of stones. Yeah, it's a Masonic symbol, that one is. And they got the all-seeing eye, and it's not installed. They haven't installed their New World Order. It says so right around it in Latin. Annuit coeptis norvis odo seclorum, which means announcing the birth of the New World Order. You watch, if they print another dollar bill, when they get their system done, that little eye will be touching the pyramid. Just my guess, okay? So I happen to believe it's probably built by somebody godly before the flood to represent some spiritual truths, okay? Other questions? I liked you on Baptist bias the other day. I enjoyed it. I could do those all day long. I was shocked at the hostile response from a friend. Okay, lost it. Why call the ministry Dinosaur Adventure Land? Why not a more general name like Creation Adventure Land? I don't know. Start your own, call it whatever you want. We started the ministry, Creation Science Evangelism, and Dinosaur Adventure Land is a sub-unit of Creation Science Evangelism, which spells out clearly what we're trying to do. Use the science from creation to evangelize, get people saved. Okay, any more there, brother? That's all you got. Okay, good. My throat's killing me. Well, not killing, that's a slight exaggeration, but maybe it is. Okay, tomorrow we'll have another one of the episodes of how to prove the earth is not billions of years old. We're going to take out the pacifier, crybaby. Go ahead and cry. See you tomorrow. Bye.